Hello and welcome to the Hillcrest Football Review, the first one of the 2025 season. And Coach Mitchell, the first one couldn't be much better, especially that first quarter. Your team came out on fire.
Yeah, just going back and looking at it, watching film, I felt like we played clean football, and we just not a lot of penalties, not a lot of things that we did that I would just say, were gross mistakes. So, we got off to a great start. Defense with a 3-and-out, big punt return, and we're able to get one in the end zone pretty quick, and really couldn't ask for a better start for us. And certainly a lot to work on, but a really good start.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, let's take a look at that good start and see what happened. Let's move on to the first quarter now. And here we go.
Opening kickoff of the 25 season, and Elijah Miller, who's going to be really good for us, gets the ball in the end zone, and he's going to be a big weapon for us for sure. And like I say, I mean they start the game with a double pass. We get a little bit fortunate.
Dodge the bullet there, right?
They went to the bag of tricks pretty early, and KT there with the tackle, and he's a DB that we were really pleased with. Played really good and tackled really well. So. That got us a 3-and-out to start the season. That's just what the doctor ordered. And then, a really big punt return right here by Caden, and, really smart by Marvin right there, Marvin Johnson, with a big block for us. And
avoided the penalty.
He did. Yeah. We worked really hard on that, and thought he did a really good job of that. So, we start off with the speed option in the belly, and, come back to the tall sweep. And I thought, Florence was physical. They got after us pretty good, but
the defensive line was pretty tough.
Yeah, they were. Sure were. Quarterback ISO there for the first score of the year, and Elijah Miller with his first extra point as a Patriot. So, a really good start, and, get another really good kick. And, they had some return yardage, but, man, it was just our lack of ability to tackle. That ball should have been tackled inside the 20 right there. We missed a couple of tackles, but thought our effort was good on kick coverage. We just got to be a little bit better tackling. And, I don't know where to even start with our defense. It's just so important for us to play great defense. And, Marcus Silver's there with the first interception, and, second possession for them. And, it sets us up in great field position down there close. And, I don't know what else you can say about Jacoby Harris, man. He kind of does it all for us. And, there's DJ Johnson right there, who we bad want to get going, and he's banged up a little bit. And, when people get to see him well, he'll really add a punch to us.
Looking forward to that
for sure. But Jacoby with his first touchdown of the year, and great start. Like I say, huge in the special teams as well. Again, just got to do better at tackling. But I thought our effort getting down the field was really good. And,
now the kicks, Elijah was putting the kicks deep and right where he wanted them.
Yes, he was.
But that little number 7, I think, on the returns was pretty tough.
He was. He sure was. We'll obviously there's work to be done there. But I haven't even looked at the total stats. I'm not a big stat guy, but I don't think they were much over 100 yards of total offense. I can be wrong, but I don't think they were.
I believe it. Yeah.
But just played really good defense, a really good job here on the screen. And, I was part of the Achilles heel last year. We've worked hard to defend the screen game, and, just another good return. Those are so many hidden yards. That's about a 15-yard punt return, and that's a first down and a half, the way I look at it. Easy throw right here for Jordan. And, man, I thought he had such composure in the game, just never seemed stressed, made great decisions. Ball right here, I know Caden wished he could have back, one that he needs to come up with, and run a little reverse with Jacoby. They do a really good job defending that one. And then, man, this is unbelievable right here. And that's kind of what we've seen out of Jordan for the last year that nobody else has. And, his ability to throw the ball on the move, throw it in the pocket. He literally can make all the plays. And I think you're going to see more and more of that as the year goes on. And, again, this ball is kicked exactly where we need it to be kicked. And just a few missed tackles here and there. And the ball's Silvers does a really good job to get that ball out, but we don't get back on it. And just A lot of these guys played a lot of defense last year, and I think their mindset this year was to come back and try to be back to our standards as far as defensive football is concerned.
All right, Coach Mitchell. So big first quarter, almost flawless, 21-0. Couldn't ask for a better start to the season. Let's move on to the second quarter and take a look.
Yeah, like you say, a great job of getting out of the gates, and I thought we tackled in space pretty dang well, which is always important for us. I mean, in our league, you better be able to tackle in space, and I thought our kids did a good job of that. We just got to continue to play defense that way. Our leagues is one that you better be able to stop people in, and I felt like just a couple of short yardage situations we didn't do our best job in, and that's something that we need to do a little bit better job. Missed tackle there. Ford was their best football player, really good player. We knew that going in. And Mark's almost getting his hands on another interception right there. He's a kid that played really, really well for us, and
seems to have a nose for the ball.
He does. Of course, he was hurt all last year, broke collarbone, broke thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming back. And then Zay was just a great timed up blitz. Got him off the edge right there for a big sack. And, he had a big impact in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of tackles and, like I say, some big plays for us. And this is coming out of a turnover right off of a kickoff, and we had to put our defense in a bad shape here, but they did a great job of going out and defending the short end of the field, and run a little counter play right there with Jacoby, and he's not big, man, but that first guy usually doesn't get him, so.
Just such great instincts.
He is. He's
amazing.
Really the total package, I mean, he can pretty much do everything that you want him to do. He's a great runner, great thrower. He can throw the football as well, and a great receiver. And Lowe would love to have that one back. He just got tripped up there. And, could have been a touchdown for sure, and just tripped up a little bit.
Right.
Javion Lowe, kind of one of the unheralded guys that we have. He makes a great catch right here, good run. And, again, not a big kid, man, but he's tough as nails and does so many things for us. And he's been banged up. He didn't play in the scrimmage. And he and DJ both are a couple of running backs that, were super important to us.
We're going to hear from them.
Yeah, 100%.
Is what you're saying.
100%. I thought this was one of the few mistakes that Chamblee made. Had the crosser open right there to Gunnar Webb and just kind of missed it. Ball slightly underthrown right there, but I thought Gunnar had a really good block, and just continuing to move the ball, and I think this is one that I know we wish Cherry had this one back. Another really good throw, and the ball just comes out at the very last minute there. Thought he had it. And, they defend us pretty good there, and we turn the ball over on downs.
He spins it so hard, it's hard to catch, isn't it?
It is now. He's got a live arm, So. But again, Miles Madden, he may be playing as good a football as anybody we got, just out.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
Yes,
he was our defensive player of the game.
Yep. Just a tough deal there on Zay, gets a face mask on a tunnel screen. And, this drive that they scored on, they had 30 yards and penalties on.
Mm-hmm.
We had a chop block on the punt and then a face mask. And, it's hard to give up 30 yards and it not hurt you, So,
right.
Got another little bit of a break here, and we got to do better in coverages. I had a couple of deep shots that were over our head that we got to clean up and got to play better defense. And late in the first half right here, didn't want to take a chance on fumbling a punt, so just let that one hit and roll out. This time, we were just ready to get to half and happy with the lead that we had. Knew we were going to get the ball to start the second half. So we were content to run this thing out until we get this pretty good run right here by Jacoby. And, I just decided at that point, I said, man, let's just take a shot at Caden right here. And, thought the guy was way early on contact right there, but we don't get it called. And anyway, then we'll settle back in, try to get this thing to half. And still some big runs right there.
Yeah, Jacoby got to pad his stats a little bit there right on that. Okay, so at halftime, up 21-0. Things looking great. Let's move along to the third quarter of action and see what happened.
Yeah, we're excited about getting this ball to start the second half, and felt like we could get a good drive going right here and maybe put the game away and have a good gain right here on first down. And then second down we don't get much out of the bubble right here. And then a false start. I think that may have been our first offensive penalty
in the third quarter. Your first offensive penalty.
Correct.
That's amazing.
Yep. Still had a chance to pick it up right there. Caden just a little bit stumbling out of his break, ball that should have been caught. But again, now they're moving the football off of a couple of penalties here, and we just didn't do a real good job of containing down here in the end zone. Thought we did a pretty good job of making them earn their way down the field. No big gashing plays. Again, DB's right there tackling, which is a lot better for us. And then just bad right here, we let the guy get on the edge with us, and that just can't happen. So they're on the board, and, now you got a 21-7 game.
It's a football game now.
It is, and then you have disaster strikes on the very next play, and as a head coach, you look back and you're thankful this happened. As bad as it is, you're glad to see your team put in these situations. And
they responded to it.
They did, absolutely.
The momentum was definitely going Florence's way.
Correct.
But they were like, no, we're not going to let this happen, and they got things back under control.
You're exactly right. And Florence hurts herself here with a couple of penalties, gets in behind the chains, and our defense just did a great job of getting them off the field. And again, running to the football, I thought our team speed showed. Miles Madden there with another big play, and Zay Hall with a batted down ball right there. What more can you ask? You give them the ball, inside your own 30 and get a stop and no points. So another pretty good return. And, we go back to work on offense, and really good job right here on the toss sweep. We've got a lot of experienced guys that are playing up front. Again, we're not very big. We're around 250 across the front. And, that's just not very big for our league.
But back in the day it was.
Yeah, back in the day. Doesn't get you anywhere right now.
Right.
Glad to see Cherry get a catch right there. Came over from County High, and good to see him get a catch. And, pretty good drive going right here, run reverse, and get a really good gain right here by Jacoby. And, we're just trying to get him the ball in about every way possible, run the speed option into the boundary, and his feet come out from under him a little bit. That was fixing to be a big, big gain for us. And, like I say, I thought Florence competed extremely well defensively. It was a physical brand of defense that they played, and give them a lot of credit for not giving in. I thought they played physical and tough. Pretty much right there is a great example of it. An inside backer that just really nails Javion Lowe on a little midline run that we had. And Shamby wanted to get this one in the end zone. I can tell you that.
It was so great to see him actually being able to run with the ball, because in all his spring game and the practice game, he's got the black jersey, can't be hit. It's great to see him running the ball.
For sure. And again, Elijah Miller just rock solid. And I'll tell you this about this. We feel like we have one of the best long snappers anywhere in Colin Calzin. An elite snapper, and he did a really good job for us. Mason Cameron, our holder this year, and those guys go unnoticed a lot. So good to see good work from our special teams.
All right, so at the end of 3, your defense responds. Your offense then responds in turn. You're up 28-7, comfortable again. Let's take a look at the fourth quarter.
Yep. We wanted to, try to put this game away and get some other guys in the game if we could. And defense does a great job right out of the gate, gets a stop, and then, back on our end of the field. Again, continuing to return punts and doing a really good job of that. So we're off to a good start. And, again, want to get this game on ice and get some other guys some playing time. And, I think we did what we had to do to get that this game wrapped up. But just a new guy up front there, and Lawson Allen moved over from ACA, did a really good job on the first start ever at Hillcrest. And Mason Booth, just a staple up there for us, and run a little bootleg right here with Jordan and down close to the end zone, and then end up punching this thing in with Jacoby. So a great
third of the night.
Yep, great finishing drive right there, and again, hard to beat. Like I say, just great win for us, and I feel like we can build off this and get back to some highlights there. Yeah, I want to reiterate, our importance in what we do on special teams. I mean, those guys don't get much attention, but when you have a guy like Kalen Cousin and Mason Cameron that they do so many things that just don't get noticed. We're very fortunate to have
those are the jobs that you don't notice them until something goes wrong.
Well said, very well said.
Taken for granted.
Yep. So we're here now, able to get some of our younger guys in. You got Caden Hargrove, who's a freshman there, who's going to be an elite player for us, getting his first varsity snaps. And we had a couple of ninth graders that played in this game, not many, just a very few, but he's one that we think is going to be a really gifted football player for us. We're excited about him as a D lineman, and JB in there at linebacker. He's one that we're excited about. Kingston is in there at inside backer. A couple of kids that down the road are going to be really good for us. And we got some seniors, man, on the offensive line, and my hat really goes off to. They're not in the starting group. You got Clendenin out there and JJ out there for us right now on the offensive line, and to me, that's one of the best parts of a football team. You got seniors that are not selfish and they want to play, but they're just not quite where they need to be in that first group. And but man, they're
and often their contributions come in practice, right?
No question about it. I mean, they are super valuable to us, and we got so many kids like that are unselfish, and it's about our football team and not themselves. And that's who we want to be, and just couldn't be prouder of some of those seniors that handle things the right way.
Right. Well, also their leadership as well, and it's showing because that was a pretty complete game, especially for the first game of the season. Now, does the problem now become your guys thinking, "Oh, we got this," heading into the next week? How do you get them refocused and realize that they got there because of the focus?
That's a big part of my job, and I want to be dang sure that they understand we got plenty of room for improvement, and I got to keep my foot on their throat and make sure that they stay hungry and stay disciplined and continue to play clean football. And we have certainly a lot of room to grow and improve, and we know what's ahead, so we're going to keep pressing forward and take this thing week by week.
Speaking of what's ahead, tell us briefly about Spartan Friday night.
Spartan is the third largest school in the state of Alabama, just a massive school up in Huntsville, and they will be much better than Florence offensively. They got a high-level quarterback that is a really dangerous runner. They got some receivers that are super speedsters. Running back is an exceptional player. They lost heavily on defense. They gave up a good many points last week, and hopefully we can put some points on the board and help our defense alleviate some of that pressure. But any 7A football team, I think people are starting to learn that there's not a bad 7A team out there.
Right.
I mean, they're going to compete. So the biggest thing is it's our first home game. We're jacked up about that, and be glad to get it back in our stadium and in front of our folks.
Right. Sounds good. Well, congratulations on the big win. Can't wait till Friday.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for joining us.